Upstate.
Well, it all came tumbling down, Diesel, for Team USA last night, Monday night. Unfortunately, Team USA will not move on, and that's where we start the show. I ask you if there is anything, Diesel, like a moral victory when it comes to the World Cup. Welcome in the Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Good to be back today as I was out yesterday. Hopefully, Diesel and I are back. Feeling better, right? You feeling any better?
I'm about a 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10.
That's better than last week.
And 10's like every day feel good. I wouldn't say like I'm a 10 every day. Nobody's a 10 every day, but I'm about 80%.
Hey, you're getting there. You're getting there, and that's what's good. I want to start the segment with a tweet from Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports, and I want to get your reaction out of the gate, Diesel, as well as the reaction of our Tolos, our audience out there. You can get in on the conversation. You know how to do so. If you're new, 844-326-3663. Dave Portnoy last night put out a tweet. I want to know where you stand on this tweet, Diesel. Dave said, I don't want to hear that the future is bright for American soccer, that they should be proud. That was a disgusting effort. We're far closer to the bottom than the top. Just not a soccer country, says Dave Portnoy of Barstool. Immediate reaction. Had you seen that tweet already?
I think I did yesterday. We're not at the bottom. I mean, calling us at the bottom.
Closer to the bottom than the top.
That's not true. We're right squarely in the middle.
Think so?
And it's because we don't invest in soccer in this country the same way they do in other countries. And we'll get into that a little bit later, Cole, because I found a fascinating breakdown of why for this particular example is about German youth soccer, but it's the same. Like I've got a close friend that's Brazilian, and he tells me about the system that they have in Brazil to help move players up the rankings. We are not set up in this country to be great at soccer. We just simply are not.
Yeah.
We have some amazing athletes, right? A lot of them are incentivized to go into other sports. We have AAU. We have sports youth sports systems set up for football and for basketball and for baseball. We just don't have that for American soccer on the same way that other countries do. And that's why we will never develop the talent that we have better than we do. And we will never get the best possible talent playing this global sport.
Steven gets in on Facebook and says, Tolo, in my best Dewey voice, Pulisic, you're fired.
You need to be fired.
You need to be fired, Pulisic. Dewey or Steven, you're a big soccer guy. Would love to hear from you. I want to say a big soccer guy. I don't want to categorize you into being something you're not. You are a soccer guy, though. You've told us before your kids played or still play, so would love to hear your thoughts at 844-326-3663. Phone lines are open to you, Steven, and anybody else. I think that's an interesting part of Dave Portnoy's tweet, Diesel. Closer to the bottom than the top. Last night was pretty bad for Team USA. And Belgium, they kind of controlled the effort, controlled the match, if you will, from the very start of the match. Now, I will say from the very beginning, as I've told you 904 times, and I've told our audience many, many times, I'm not a soccer guy. I don't pretend to be. But I watched last night. I listened to you. I listened to other people who are soccer guys, and I got their reactions, and I watched. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, this is what went wrong. I mean, I'm an expert all of a sudden. But, as far as aggressiveness goes, Diesel, that was the main thing that I noticed from someone who's not a soccer guy. It looked as if the number one thing I saw that stuck out to me was Belgium was more aggressive last night.
They were. I mean, they knew our tendency, and they saw our tendency over the course of the games we played so far in this World Cup, that we like to get out and play fast and score early and have that set us up for the rest of the game. Belgium said, not so fast, my friend. We're not going to let you do that.
Didn't they? I mean, they scored out of the gate pretty quick. Belgium did, right?
It was quick. I don't have the –
I cut the match. The reason I ask it is I cut the match on late. You texted me a few minutes in. I cut the match on late. And when I cut the match on, they had already went up 1-0. Belgium did.
Right.
And then Team USA, correct me if I'm wrong, came back, tied at 1-1. And from that point, interesting in terms of the aggressiveness.
They scored in the 9th minute. So inside 10 minutes of the game started.
Pretty quick, right? I was watching some some recaps this morning, Diesel, some other analysts talking about it. They were far more aggressive. Like I said, they got more shots than Team USA did. Team USA wasn't able to really get near as many shots. What's weird though, like here's what, and again, maybe you can help explain this, and Steven as well, who's on hold. We'll get to Steven in just a second. Here's where I do find myself a little confused, Diesel, not knowing soccer the way others do. You go look at the stats from last night. Belgium got more shots on goal than Team USA, right? They were more aggressive. But, man, for a large majority of that match last night, I don't remember if I think it was to start the second half, I think. Team USA had a lot of possession in Belgium territory. And I felt like seeing the number this morning, like seeing how many more shots on goal Belgium got, I was kind of confused and dumbfounded by that a little bit, because it seemed like, and you were watching too, it seemed like we had chances and opportunities down near the goal. For whatever reason, we just weren't getting good looks, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the result of a halftime adjustment where Pochettino switched some things up, and we were certainly a little better off to start the second half there. But, like you said, Belgium, with their aggressiveness, 6 shots in the first 11 minutes. One of those went in, by the way. 7 by the 27-minute mark. They had 7 shots on goal, and USA hadn't gotten a shot by then. I mean, they were able to crowd the box so effectively and shut off the USA's passing lanes, shut off their ability to get quality shots. It's just like hockey, right? There's shots, and then there's shots on goal. There's shots, and then there's quality shots, quality opportunities where something can happen. We didn't get a lot of quality opportunities, and that's number one. Part of that is because Christian Pulisic just turned into James Harden and disappeared in this. 1 assist, no goals for the entire World Cup. But in that game last night, Cole, his first 5 touches were turnovers. This is supposedly the best player we've ever had playing American soccer. We've never seen a talent like him before, and his first 5 touches were turnovers.
Was he the one that was limping around the whole second half?
Yeah, he got injured and came out in the second half.
He didn't look good at all. And, he stayed in the game, I think, a little too long. Going to the phone lines here in just a second. Boston Scott on Facebook says, Tolo, last night was bad, but it was a nice 3-week distraction from the Red Sox last place season so far. That's funny, Scott. Boston Scott, good to hear from you. He also says, that suspension lit a fire under Belgium. Team USA thought they were going to just waltz in there and get a win. Talking about the suspension that was overturned. Maybe it did. Diesel, let's go to the phone lines. 844-FAN-PHONE, FANFONE. Steven, you are more of a soccer guy than I am. What did you take away last night as the biggest reason Team USA couldn't get it done?
So, guys, first of all, thanks for taking my call. Secondly, I just wanted to make a comparison for all the non-football fans out there. The way I would like to say that last night went down for Pulisic is what we needed was football, Super Bowl 37, Patrick Mahomes limping around on a severely sprained ankle to bring us back and beat the Eagles. And what we got was Cam Newton, Super Bowl 50, not diving on the ball, towel over his head.
Yeah, that's a rough one there, Steven.
How it went down. Last night was just, it wasn't the goalie. The goalie made a mistake. Pulisic should have went down and us not be playing 10v11 before that ever transpired.
Yeah.
And it was lackadaisical. There was no effort. And we didn't look like we needed to be out there yesterday. It was disheartening, and not one player set us back. But the group, Des, didn't do anything. One of our best players, one of the most creative, Tillman was a superstar through the whole thing. Tillman and Balogun give me hope for the future of U.S. soccer. Other than those 2 bright lights, I can't say that I'm interested in watching the U.S. moving forward. I'm going to continue rooting for Argentina throughout as Messi, the GOAT, is continuing on his run.
So you brought up the goalie there, and Diesel and I were texting back and forth when that happened, when he kind of got caught with his pants down there in the empty net. What was you said the injury, and correct me if I'm wrong, the injury from Pulisic caused Team USA to be down a man, and then there was one player, I don't know who it was, that tried to stop. He was past the goalie. He tried to stop the ball and couldn't, and it went in anyway, Steven. Is that right? Do I have that right?
Yes, yes. So before all of that went down with Matt Freeze, there was the play that Pulisic got injured where he actually kicked the ground or the back of the player's boot, whatever you want to say. And he's been limping around. So he was out. He wasn't doing anything. At that point, if you're not going to be able to perform, go down, let us sub you out, and bring on another player.
Gotcha.
It'll have to stop play. The ref has to stop play if you're down on the ground eventually. All of that built up out of the back when the goalie had control of the ball for Belgium. And at that point, the ref could have blown the whistle, stopped the play there. Us got Pulisic off the field, reset, regrouped. But it all had to do with it was just no effort by anyone. And Tim Ream, I'm sorry, I'm 46 years old, and that's about what I would have looked like back there on that back line, running around trying to play with 20-year-olds. It's not good enough. I'm sorry. If Tim Ream, and it's not Tim Ream's fault. It's not the player's fault. It is a system's fault. The system is just not in place for us to be competitive. And you were absolutely right in the beginning. And we're never going to be competitive with the system that we have. Not when you have the Germans who are like robots, one after the other, building players one after the other that are just coming in. Brazilians that have the passion and just the whole Hispanic culture and the love and the passion for football. It's just not here in the United States. And it's sad because it is a beautiful game that I really enjoy.
To your point there, Stephen, and we appreciate the phone call. Tim Ream, 38 years old, Messi, 39 years old. And even though they're only 1 year apart, there's an ocean between them as far as their ability. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly bad to have Matt Freese that far outside of the box where he couldn't touch the ball with his hands. And then I don't know if he felt like that the defender that was right behind him was going to push him in the back and then maybe he would get a foul out of it. I don't know what he thought was going to happen, but all he had to do was boot that ball as hard as he could the opposite direction. And that very easy third goal doesn't happen. And that, of course, that changed the entire complexity of the match from then on out.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. But if you really go back and watch those goals, two of them Ream was beat on and just was out of place and had a younger, stronger, taller back been in there, they would have been able to make a better play on it. But that's what I mean. We're just outmanned and we don't have – there's not one U20 player who has broke through to come up in the ranks within the past 4 years for the United States, while you have Lamine Yamal, who is over in Spain, 18 years old on the team. You have on the Mexican side, you have players breaking through from the U20 group. We're just recycling the old guys over and over and over again, and we're not getting anything new or any new looks. And it's again, just disheartening the whole system. It's like, who do you know to be on the team almost, rather than how do you play?
Pulisic is 27 years old. He'll be 31 by the next World Cup in 2030. And Stephen, my fear is that his name recognition will still keep him on as a captain of that team, but it shouldn't be his team in 2030. It shouldn't be his team past 2028. I mean, Fol Balogun is the future of American soccer. If we can keep him playing for America, hopefully he will. But he could go play for the UK if he wanted to. I think he could also play for Nigeria because his parents are from there. Hopefully we can hold on to him and keep him.
Well, let me just teach you something there. He can't play for any other international team now. Now that he's made his start with the United States, he has to always play for the United States.
Gotcha.
Once you break through and you go to play for a nation, you always have to play for that nation.
Hey, and Stephen, one last question for you real quick, because I don't know. What's the penalty in soccer for a handball?
It depends on where it's at. If it's outside the box, it's a free kick. If it's inside the box, it's a PK.
So I was just curious last night, and again, I'm watching this game as we all are, thinking that guy that didn't stop it, why not just grab it with your hand?
That's true. If you're Matt Freese and you're that far out of position,
just grab it.
Just grab it with your hands and
take the penalty.
That way everybody can get back.
And that could be a red card for him too if it's a scoring
opportunity.
Really? That makes a difference. Yes.
See, there's so many rules. God. And the referee's discretion if he thought it was,
it's kind of leading. It's kind of like leading with the crown of your helmet versus grazing with your helmet.
Okay.
What is the intent there? Were you intentionally trying to stop the ball with your hands
Heck
outside
yeah.
of the box? Then that's a red card. If you jumped up and you hit it with your arm accidentally, then that's not a.
Oh, I'm
card.
like
That
laying down
yellow
full
card.
force, using my jersey to stop
Just
it.
sit on it.
Whatever,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, that was embarrassing. Stephen, great call. Appreciate you calling in and talking soccer with us.
Yeah, great job, guys. I love
Thanks,
the
Steven.
content once again. Hey, don't give up on the World Cup yet. Just
That's
fill
right.
us in a little bit at a time on the teams that are left. There's a good one tomorrow or a good one coming up with France and Morocco. You know, Morocco won their independence from France, and they celebrated on July the 6th.
Oh, wow.
So,
How about
really?
just a little
How
tidbit.
about that?
Yes, sir.
Fascinating
Thanks,
news.
Stephen.
Good
Great stuff.
Steven.
Great call. Boston Scott on Facebook says great call from Stephen. Yeah, if we're talking World Cup or soccer or whatever it is, we would love to hear from you if you are a soccer guy. He said football there and he confused me. I didn't know if he was talking like soccer, football, then he went to the Super Bowl, so I got back on track.
He's talking about the good games coming up later on. Let's see, here in about 45 minutes, Switzerland, Colombia will kick off. Earlier today, Argentina had to come back from down 2-0 in the 67th minute. Think about that. They got to the 67th minute of that game, down 2-0 to Egypt. And then Romero scores at 79. Messi scores at 83. Fernandez scores at the second additional minute. And Argentina wins the game 3-2. See, if that's the way Team USA had lost last night, I wouldn't have felt bad about it.
Close.
I'd have said, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? We had a good team. We went farther than we expected to. The vibes are still good. You're still feeling good about getting to where you got. But the fact is, Cole, when you feel like you got a pretty good team, and we've all been there with our football teams, right? You feel like you got a pretty good team.
Every year,
you're
the
going in
Cowboys.
somewhere. I feel it all the time as an App State fan. I'm like, I feel pretty good about our team this year. You walk into Clemson, Death Valley in week number 2, and you get absolutely handled, and you say, oh, crap. Well, you know, that's a big time damper. And this feels like a damper for American soccer. And I think it will be for a little while.
Hey, you know, Messi scored again today.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world? I mean, is that guy, at what age?
He's 38.
Aging like fine wine, literally. I mean, that's impressive.
Meanwhile, Cristiano Ronaldo aging like sour grapes.
Did I see where he's hanging it up?
He's not done playing soccer, but he is done playing World Cup soccer.
So that was his last World Cup.
Correct.
Oh, man, how about that? And then you just mentioned it. One more game today, 4:00 in less than an hour. I texted you over the weekend. It was Friday night. You know, I have been watching the World Cup vaguely here and there. And then when Team USA plays, like obviously last night I watched, as most of us did, I would imagine. But what was funny over the weekend, Diesel and Steven, if he's still listening, he'll enjoy this as well. With me being not really a soccer fan and really not enjoying soccer outside of the World Cup. And, you know, I even told you going into the World Cup, I wasn't going to watch much. I have been surprised that I have watched more than I thought I would. And, in fact, Friday night, I'll pull it up here to make sure I have the right game. I texted you after the Argentina-Cape Verde game. It was 3-2. And that was the coolest game I've ever watched. I mean, it had me hook, line, and sinker. I watched nearly the whole game. And it was extra time, I think, right? Extra time Friday night. They had to add extra time there at the end, overtime, I believe. And it was an incredible game with Argentina and Cape Verde. So I found myself during this World Cup, even though it's not over, becoming more interested than I thought I would going in. So I will proudly admit that.
Yeah, you're right. That one was decided by an own goal by Cape Verde in the 111th minute of that game. That was a phenomenal matchup. I mean, you could go back.
Almost had it, man.
You could go back and watch the Norway-Brazil game on Sunday, a really good one. Obviously, Mexico-England on Sunday, I would say is probably the match of the tournament so far. We'll see, you know, what else happens here if another match can match that. But man, that was good stuff.
It's sad. It's sad that it's, you know, Team USA's out of it. But now you look at the teams left, and I think like storyline wise, and I know we're going to get to this in the next segment, like Messi, is that the biggest storyline left?
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Tolos, are you essentially hitting the eject button on the World Cup now that the U.S. is out of this thing, or because they're running commercials. Will Ferrell was in a commercial I saw yesterday, right after we lost, by the way, which I thought was hilarious timing. It's Will Ferrell taking a jersey off and showing another one underneath it. And then that team loses. He takes that off and he shows another one underneath it. That. Are you going to keep watching? Who might you latch on to as your favorite now at this point? And like I said, I found a great tweet that describes why American soccer is not set up to produce the kind of talent that other nations around this world have. We'll talk about that next. So, Cole, do we all revert back to our respective ancestral homelands now for who we're going to follow throughout the rest of the World Cup? Still in this thing, in the round of 8 going forward, you'll have France, Morocco, Spain, Belgium, Norway, England, and then Argentina versus the winner of Switzerland and Colombia. I could look back at my Swiss heritage and say, hey, if I'm a pull for Switzerland.
I didn't know you were Swiss.
Yeah, very neutral. In
you like
those
their
ways.
cheese?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Holy cheese, pray for it on Sunday.
How about that?
Everybody around here, this is the South, everybody around here has got some kind of English roots in them at some point. I don't know, Cole. I could also root for France. I won't because they're France, but I could root for France because half of my family is French Cajun or Creole.
Ooh, I like that.
So
I like that. Yeah.
But I still won't root for France. I mean, it's France. Okay. I'm too much of an American to ever pull for France in anything. And France are like the evil empire when it comes to soccer. So they're out. I'm trying to decide whether or not first of all, they have to beat Colombia today. Switzerland or England would be the team, or Norway, because I do love Norwegian black metal. Is that the team that I'm going to follow through the end of this tournament? What about you, Tolos? Are you done now that USA is out of this thing? And, we all got swept up in the vibes. Even Cole was watching games.
Even Cole.
The thing is, you don't have to be a quote unquote soccer guy to tune in and watch. I'm not a soccer fan either. I went to one Triumph game this year, and I think I've been to one Triumph game before that. And that's all the Triumph games I've ever been to. And I've never been to a college soccer game. I've never been to an MLS game. I wanted to watch MLS. There was a time, Cole, when I said, you know what? This is the year that I'm going to watch Charlotte FC. I'm going to get behind watching Charlotte FC. And then, boom, behind a paywall, not going to watch that.
Yeah.
We asked me to pay extra for it. That's where my fandom ends. But I tried a little bit, but you don't have to be a hardcore. You don't have to have come up in it to get swept up in it once every 4 years.
I realized I wasn't a soccer guy one time. I was doing a lot of freelance broadcasting stuff out of college, and I did play-by-play for a soccer match here locally at a local college, and that's when I realized, this isn't my sport.
There's
it's
a whole
not for me.
Terminology for it.
It's tough. It really is. Looking at the countries, though, left that I would pull for. So you have Morocco, France, Norway. Wait a minute. Who lost today?
Egypt
lost today. Morocco, France, Norway, England, Spain, Belgium, Argentina, Switzerland, Colombia. I think I hit them all there.
Correct.
Is that right? What is that? Is that 9 teams remaining? And then again at 4:00 you have Switzerland, Colombia. If I had to find one, I do like the Spanish speaking countries. I visit Nicaragua every summer.
What's your heritage? Where's your family from?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know. No, I don't know.
We're from Bowling Springs.
No, I need to do the what's it called?
23andMe.
Well, that's one of them. What's the real popular? Ancestry.com, right? No, I have no desire to pull for Morocco. I did look up some interesting facts. Morocco, didn't know much about them. They were the first country to officially recognize the United States as an independent nation in 1777.
Hey.
Friendship treaty between U.S. and Morocco.
That's something.
It's America's oldest unbroken diplomatic relationship. So maybe you should kind of respect the fact that Morocco respects the U.S. and pull for Morocco.
What about France, though? They put a lot of money into our war effort to beat the English.
Yeah.
So there's
I don't know that anything about France makes, you know what I mean? What?
It's the armpit hair for me. That kills it.
That's weird.
250 years of diplomatic support and military aid, back and forth in both directions, but it's the armpit hair that kills it, and the snails.
Diesel, my 3 are down if I had to pick one to choose to pull for the rest of the tournament, I'm going to go Spain, Argentina, and Colombia is my 3.
Wow.
And I'm going to narrow it down to, so fun fact, Colombia is the only South American country with coastlines, Diesel, on both the Pacific and the Caribbean Sea. It also produces a third of the world's emeralds. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Wow.
Argentina, the birthplace of tango, one of the world's most famous dance styles. I don't know if
it takes two to tango.
It does take two. And finest beef vineyards on earth right there in Argentina. And then who was the third one? Spain? Is that what I said?
Did you say beef vineyards?
Oh, no. Beef and vineyards.
Oh, okay.
Home to some of the finest beef and vineyards. Beef vineyards.
That is a fancy way to describe raising cattle.
That's what people in Greenville call cow
beef
pastures.
Vineyards.
Beef vineyards, right? And then the last one, Spain. Let me see if I have a fun fact on Spain. Spain, Diesel, they host La Tomatina. That is the world's largest food fight where more than 100 tons of tomatoes are thrown every year. Do you know that?
That's incredibly wasteful. Incredibly wasteful.
That is incredible, though.
I have seen videos of this before.
I think I'm going to go for Argentina because you have a popular name. I think I'm going to pull for them.
They almost got knocked out today, man.
Yeah, I might not lie. I don't know. Again, I have no idea who like the betting favorite is left, but I'm going to go with either Argentina, has my fandom, Colombia, or Spain. That's my three.
So why is it, Cole, that USA's hopes in international soccer competitions really is not in winning the whole thing? It's just getting to the round of 8. Because I think that was about our ceiling this year, was the round of 8. We didn't get there. Why is that? I just found this post earlier today, Cole, from an account on Twitter I've never heard of before called Akash Gupta.
Okay.
And he's talking about the structure of why American soccer doesn't work. Why it doesn't work on a competing at the highest level on an international scale. He says because in Germany, and it's similar in other countries, a talented 14-year-old earns his club money. In America, his parents pay the club for the right to participate. He says FIFA built a global system for this. Training, compensation, and solidarity payments send a cut of every transfer fee back to the clubs that developed the player from age 12 onward. Develop one future pro, and your academy gets paid for a decade. That means basically, Cole, if a young kid turns out to be really good and he goes on to be pro, all the teams that he played for all the way back to the point where he is 12 years old get money paid down. It trickulates down from FIFA, rather than in America, we inverse the whole thing, and it's the parents who are asked to pay for the high-level training, which can be extremely expensive. See, I don't know if you know this, Cole, but in a lot of these countries that are really, really good at soccer, their best players don't come from the rich families. They come from the poor kids that grew up playing in the favelas, playing in the streets. That's where the best players come from, and they get onto a club team, and they somehow rise up. Boom, the money trickulates down. Instead, in America, it's the parents who most parents don't have that kind of money.
No, and you know, it's interesting, like when you talk about it's kind of totally reversed there, right? In terms of how those systems are set up. I guess the question is why is it set up that way in America to where it's a disadvantage, Diesel? And I heard you read that tweet off, but it sure does to me, hearing that, it sure does sound like a disadvantage.
Well, it's because, and this is funny because this poster also addresses that. He says, every 4 years, someone proposes fixing this. Yeah. The proposal always requires the people profiting from the $15,000 model that parents pay into would have to vote themselves out of business to change the model. The ones that collect those fees,
right?
The ones that administer all of those fees from parents, they would be saying, you know what? We're going to take ourselves out of the equation for the betterment of American soccer.
And they won't do it.
And they're not going to do it because they're the ones profiting off of it, which is the American way.
Hey, I mean, if we can just pick up the phone and get a player unsuspended, can we pick up the phone and fix that too? Because that seems like, and look, if you were to just snap your fingers and reverse course on that and fix it immediately, I still think it would take a decade or longer for that trickle effect to be seen and, Team USA to be really good in soccer. But that just seems convoluted in every way possible.
Well, think about it like this. I've said for a number of years since the portal has gotten so out of control that when a player transfers from Charleston Southern to South Carolina to play football, South Carolina should have to pay Charleston Southern for the developmental costs of getting that guy to the point where he was good enough that South Carolina wanted him.
Sure.
But that's not the way that it works. South Carolina just takes that guy off the roster, and now Charleston Southern is left with no money in the bank, and they have to figure out how to replace him. It's the exact same thing. When you transfer, the buyout fee essentially should trickle down to the team that's losing the asset and the teams that got that player to get to that level, but it doesn't. American soccer is just not set up to push the best talent to the top of the pyramid.
Couple of texts real quick on the Joy Law from text line 844-326-3663. Let's see. Texter from the 860 gets in and says, Richards on D looked lost and terrified from the start. Another texter from the 803 gets in and says a guy on the earlier shows said that the reason the U.S. is not as good is because it's so much more expensive to get your kids into a good soccer program in the United States than it is anywhere else. And, costs are obviously a big part of it. You go to these countries, though, Diesel, like that are year in and year out or every 4 years competing at the top when it comes to the World Cup. Why not model what they're doing? I'm not saying exactly, do exactly what they're doing, but why is Americans, are we content with if we're going to do something, why half, it? I mean, let's go all in and figure out what the best system is.
I think they look at it that way, Cole, because the best athletes in America are still gravitating towards football, basketball, and baseball. If you want to make money as an athlete in this country and a physical sport, not like a golf, you go play football, baseball, and basketball. And you see it every single day. We talk about it every single day. Kid comes, signs to go play football at Notre Dame or South Carolina or Clemson or wherever, and he's the first one in his family to ever go to college. That's where those poor kids are going. The poor kids who are being recognized for their talent and being shuffled through the system and being essentially paid for, subsidized by someone else, the American football scholarship system or basketball scholarship system. That's where they're all going.
Yeah. We also don't have the same soccer culture either. You know what I mean? Like, Diesel, when you talk about places like Brazil and Argentina, those kids grow up in the street kicking a soccer ball every day. We just don't have that soccer culture. They play in beaches, parks, streets, wherever, kicking a ball. And that culture develops naturally. Does it do that here in some parts? I think so. And the pay to play, is that a part of it with youth sports? I'm sure it is, but at the same time, I don't know how much I buy into that, Diesel, because every youth sport nowadays costs. Travel baseball, everything costs money nowadays. Soccer is not America's number one sport. I think you said it in large part because our best athletes are choosing other sports. I think that's what it boils down to more than anything.
And, it begs a very good question, Cole. Did what we experienced over the past couple of weeks up until last night when that really ugly goal happened in the 56th minute, whatever that was, has what we've all experienced been enough in your mind to elevate the soccer culture that we have in America at all? Has it made any dent at all? As fun as it's been to get swept up in it, will it change anything? Will it all of a sudden take little kids who are, 8, 10, 12 years old and say, you know what, Mom, I don't want to play football. I want to play soccer instead. Do you really believe that it's going to make any kind of a difference at all? I don't think it will.
No, I mean, as big as football, and I'm talking about like football, not soccer, football is here in America, Diesel. I don't know if this is a good equation, a good illustration or comparison, or a bad one, but I guess, go to let's say another country where there is interest in American football. There is interest there, and kids grow up wanting to play, and they watch the Super Bowl on their television with the Chiefs and whoever else, and they think, man, this is awesome. And they may even have a youth league, or they may even have it collegiately in other countries, or whatever it looks like. But the fact of the matter is there's so many countries, Diesel, that are never going to get where the United States is when it comes to American football, the development, the collegiate game. So I think it's, unfortunately, I think I'd agree with you and say, no, I'd like for these past 3 weeks to be enough to change course, but I don't know. I'm not real confident in that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Now, Team USA, even though we're out of this thing, Cole, international competition will be back here in just a couple of months. There's more FIFA action. The World Cup is not all that the FIFA Federation puts together. There will be international matches for the USA in September and October. We don't know who they're going to play yet in that window. That's still TBD. So obviously we won't be paying attention to that because it's football season. It's 00 football season at that point. But about this time next year, the CONCACAF Gold Cup will be back in action for 2027, June and July. So we will have international soccer again this time next year. But, man, winning CONCACAF and even winning CONCACAF would be a great thing for Team
it won't
USA.
Be mentioned, though.
But it won't. It doesn't move the needle.
It won't be on ESPN. We won't talk about it. It just won't be. Steven on Facebook says, guys, we have a system in place. It's just American football. We have great coaches. Last I saw, 22 of them on Dorman's sideline, and soccer's lucky to have 2.
It's true.
It is. Tracy asked about Aiden Gibson. Have we had a chance to talk about him today? The local Woodruff product flipping his recruitment from Penn State to Rutgers. No, we have not. We will, though, later on in the show. Leprechaun Lyman gets in. Diesel on the YouTube stream. He says soccer's problem is that it's boring to watch, but it's a lot of fun to play. With football, you have the potential for touchdowns, interceptions, fumbles, etc. Basketball, you have fast breaks and high scores. Soccer just doesn't have those things. They have goals, and that's about it.
That's true.
And I understand that point of view from Leprechaun of Lyman, because me being someone who doesn't regularly watch soccer, it is boring to me. I know it's not boring to everybody. There's a million people who love it, but it is boring to me. It is very boring.
You know how when you watch a football spring game, there's different ways for teams to score. Everybody gets to decide how they want to score it. In soccer, obviously, a lot of fans will lose their mind for scoring opportunities, even if they don't produce goals. And that's something that the American brain doesn't fathom, right? We don't get excited for missed opportunities.
No,
okay. But we're not talking about, remember that crossing pass that got into the interior and he almost scored? No, we don't care about that.
No, look, it's a boring product if you don't have an investment already. Like if you're not a soccer guy and you turn the TV on to watch soccer, it is extremely boring. I hate to say it, but it is. And last night after we went down 3-1, is that right? Yep. We went down 3-1. I turned it off. I mean, I just didn't really have a desire to watch. I knew at that point it was pretty much over anyways.
Yeah, the team just was defeated. They didn't look crisp. They were not making good passes. They weren't making quality decisions, and our best players were getting their pockets picked.
Speaking of getting your pockets picked, have the Atlanta Braves picked a few of those pockets here in the last few days to make us feel better about the Braves season? We're getting close to the All-Star break. What are our thoughts after the Braves and the Mets went at it this past weekend? We'll get into it next. Well, the Atlanta Braves did have a little bit better of a weekend. And when I say a little bit better, what do I mean, Diesel? Given the circumstances, we know the Braves have been on a little bit of a rocky stretch recently. And I'm sure you were solo yesterday, so you can tell me if I'm wrong on this. Was Dewey, was he better yesterday? I mean, did he call in and talk Braves at all?
He called in yesterday. I'm trying to remember what Dewey talks about, because sometimes I just, my eyes go cross.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, yeah, Dewey, just go ahead. Say what you got to say. We were talking about soccer, actually. We were talking about, yeah, Dewey called in and talked about soccer.
That is shocking.
I shut him down, though. I said, hey, Austin Riley's hitting home runs again. Like, what you got nothing to say about Austin Riley? So I think I kind of broke Dewey.
Well, that's good. So the Braves did split in a 4-game series over the weekend with the Mets. They had two disappointing losses. Here's the issue.
You don't want to be splitting with the fourth place team in your division.
No, but the problem is you scored enough runs. For example, last night, you went 10 innings with the Mets. You scored 6 runs. And you lost the game. They won 7-6. It should have been enough for you to win the game, right? That was Monday. You go back to Sunday. You scored 9 runs on Sunday.
Yeah.
9 runs. I don't care what level of baseball, little league, middle school, high school, college, or pro, you scored 9 runs, you should win the baseball game. The Mets won 10-9. So you scored 9 on Sunday. And then guess what? On Monday, you scored 6. So, yes, they lost 2 in a row. It does make me feel a little bit better because the last couple of weeks they weren't getting any run support, like especially with Chris Sale. So I felt a little bit better like the last few days because at least they're hitting the baseball now. In that first stretch, Diesel, when they were just tearing the cover off the baseball, they were hitting well. They were pitching well. They were just a well-oiled machine. I'm fine if the pitching isn't great right now. Does it make me sleep well at night? No. But I want to see those bats get back going. And you scored 9 and 6 in 2 games and you lost. I don't like losing. I don't like moral victories, but it does make me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting with the Pirates coming up. They'll provide a much tougher test, obviously, than the Mets did.
Yeah, so Sunday's game, I mean, Drake Baldwin had a grand slam in the bottom of the 9th there to bring it back and make it close. Otherwise, that was not a very close ball game. Well, I'll take that back. It was 5-3 Mets going into the bottom of the 2nd. Nobody scored until the 9th.
Yeah.
When the Mets scored 5 more and the Braves scored 6 in the bottom of the 9th. Now, last night's game is a different story. Last night, they go into extra innings, tied 5-5, and the Braves, explain to me this decision-making process here, Cole. They put a rookie out there who tallied his first big league strikeout in this game, by the way. They threw a rookie out there who in an 0-2 count with 2 outs. I mean, you're 1 strike away from getting out of this game. He plunks the Mets hitter on the foot. That sets up a 2-run RBI, and, the Braves couldn't answer.
And you've got the Pirates this week. You are going to see Paul Skeens tonight, by the way. So tonight, Diesel, it's Hurston Waldrop, Paul Skeens. Wednesday, it'll be Grant Holmes versus Jared Jones. Thursday, it'll be Bryce Elder versus Mitch Keller. Paul Skeens, I know that you avoided him the last time you played him this year, but let's look at this stat real quick, Diesel. Paul Skeens has a 5.12 ERA over his past 6 starts. His 4-seamer, his fastball, hasn't averaged more than 96.5 miles per hour in any of his past 3 starts. When you look at his 4-seam velocity information, in 2024, he averaged 98.8 on the gun. 2025, he averaged 98.2 over 32 starts, never averaged below. And you're looking at 2026, in the last few starts, he hasn't been the guy. Are the Pirates going to provide a bigger test? Sure. Are they the Mets? I wish. But like you said, the Braves played the bad Mets and still could only win twice, even though they scored a bunch of runs. They still have a 3-game lead in the NL East over the Philadelphia Phillies. But the Braves have 52 wins. And the Phillies, Diesel, they're right behind them with 50 wins on the season. So the Phillies are playing much, much better, as we've talked about over the last few weeks.
Is there problems at home? Is Livy Dunn giving him a hard time, giving Paul a hard time? Or, women weak in the legs?
He's distracted, maybe, by Livy Dunn. Maybe that's what it is. But nonetheless, Pirates Braves starting tonight. Let's see if you go out there and win tonight against Paul Skeens, I think that makes you feel good if you're a Braves fan. Let's go get that win tonight.
Sure would. Cole, we have been going through college football storylines. Had to take a break on it for a couple of days because we weren't here together. But now let's get back into the mix. College football storylines with 3 down, 7 more to go. Coming up in the next segment, Chapel Bill, round 2 of what the Tar Heels experienced last year, or could we see a resurgence of their program this year? We'll dive deep on the Heels next. I'm excited, Cole. Here in just a week and a couple of days, we might get to sit down with old Bill Belichick,
this time
the head
next week,
football
right?
coach, of the North Carolina Tar Heels, and we get to look right into his eyes. I'm kidding; they're not going to sit Bill down with us.
I'll say this: I have requested it. Requested it. Does that mean it happens? No. I requested every coach in the ACC. They send us, for those that don't know, a little behind the curtain. They send us the SIDs at every school. It's up to us to now contact the schools for request instead of the ACC doing their job and handling it, right? Sorry, ACC. Sorry, Kevin. We love you. So now we reach out to the SIDs. I reached out to every SID except for Cal and Stanford. I don't really think we care much about it. I think
we all know why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but I didn't reach out to them. So I have requested Chapel Bill. Will we get them? I highly doubt it, but maybe we can pull some strings, slip a $20 bill, SIDs. It'll make a lot of money. So if you bring some bills with you, you slip some bills, Chapel Bill can come over because of the bills that you slipped next week.
We have a special golden headset to give Bill Belichick if he sits down at our table, Cole.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you and I will both be in Charlotte all 3 days. Excited for that. And it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, I mean, they put on a good spread up there. It's always a great time. The Hilton Uptown Charlotte, they do a phenomenal job putting this event on. And Cole, there's always so many events going on through there. Hopefully, we just keep our internet connection all the way until the end of the show this year, because that didn't happen for us on the last day.
No, that was funny.
Yeah, they're breaking stuff
Guys
down.
came through there just pulling cables, and we're like, we have no power. We have no internet. They pulled everything.
I don't want to cast our good friend Phil Kornblut in this kind of light, Cole, but Phil, who does his show after
6
hours,
to 8. I believe, right?
He's sitting in the lobby by himself, and I couldn't help but think of him as like Milton Wadhams from Office Space.
Yeah.
They put him in the basement, they shut the lights off on him, and he's got to sit there by himself.
Bad, man. He was there by himself with no power, no Ethernet, right? It was bad, but hopefully we won't run into that again this year. I'm excited for ACC Media Days. I'm excited for that.
So the result of the most legendary coach in the NFL coming to college football, revolutionizing the system, turning it into an NFL factory was 4-8. 4-8 for the North Carolina Tar Heels last year. The question ultimately, Cole, is could it get any worse? Or it was last year the inevitable and necessary crap show that had to happen while things got fixed, right? The bottom on your march to the top.
It's a fascinating question. It's a fascinating storyline, Diesel, as well. When you talk about all these different various storylines, is it at the top like it was last year? No, but it is interesting because a guy like that usually finds a way to rebound.
Yep.
And the roster wasn't good enough last year in North Carolina. I think Bill also underestimated how different college football is in a big way, and an offense that never found an identity. I think if you're a North Carolina fan, I think there's definitely reason to be concerned.
There is, but so far this offseason, and I get it, it's a quiet time of year. We're talking about what's going on with Texas Tech, and we're talking about improprieties here and there. We're not talking, Cole, about the whole Jordan Hudson debacle, which gobbled up so much of the headlines last year for North Carolina. Oh, she's getting too involved. Oh, she's focusing on his brand. She won't let him talk to this person, or didn't like that interviewer, or whatever. So far this year, we've heard none of that. So at the very least, you're starting off now with a year in the building, with a year now of getting the players that you want out of the portal to build the system your way. Oh, by the way, Bobby Petrino is the offensive coordinator this year with Bill Belichick running the defense. I feel like, Cole, I'm not saying just a complete flip and an 8-4 season for the Tar Heels. It wouldn't flabbergast me if they achieved it. I think their ceiling is probably somewhere around 7-5.
So here's the problem when you talk about the offensive coordinator. You just brought up a new OC. Last year, and I don't mean to badmouth the guy, Freddie Kitchens was the OC. And Freddie Kitchens has made stops around the state, around the country. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he's in Clemson now as like a volunteer analyst or something. He's been everywhere, right? It feels like.
It's like hiring Ted Roof to coach your defense.
Yeah, and the problem last year, Diesel, with Freddie Kitchens and that offense struggled to find an identity. And I watched them a few games, especially when they played Clemson. I didn't watch them every week, but they had number one inconsistent quarterback play, which Bill Belichick's never had to deal with, right?
True.
Okay, a few years in the NFL, but for the most part, he didn't really have to deal with inconsistent quarterback play.
He didn't deal with the last couple of years of that inconsistent quarterback play very well, did he?
No, he did not.
Not in New England.
He did not. Outside of that one quarterback that we all know, Bill hadn't been great other than him anyways. Not to go down a rabbit hole and make this about, no. Different
the other one. Okay.
Yeah, it starts with a T and ends with a Tom Brady. They also were terrible up front last year. In 2025, offensive line was horrible, and their offense was toward the bottom of the country, not the ACC, but the country in explosiveness. So, why did Bill Belichick replace Freddie Kitchens with Bobby Petrino? That's what you said, right? Petrino's came in, and he's now the OC. I think a lot of it had to do with their offense last year. It was hard to watch, and you combo the factors that I just gave you of the offense, Belichick not really expecting college football to be what it is, plus the roster wasn't good enough. I think it made for a disaster. And I will never forget this conversation that you and I had last year. We were at ACC Media Days, and there was a UNC defensive back, and I don't remember his name, but we interviewed him. You remember we got one of their defensive backs last year. Mm-hmm. Very nice guy, and we had fun with him. We joked with him. Diesel, and I said to him, I asked him, I said on air, I said, do you really think Bill Belichick can win in the college game? And the response back from that defensive back that we had on the show last year from UNC was, well, why can't he? Why can't he? So his roster believed in him because of who he was. But I just don't know that he really knew what to expect going into last year.
Well, recall the timing of how it all went down. They brought in Bill Belichick late. They had to struggle and really tie themselves up in knots just trying to field a roster. And they had one of the largest transfer portal classes ever last year, if not the largest transfer portal class ever. And by that point, Cole, obviously, you're not dealing with the best of the best players anymore. Gio Lopez was the guy for a little while until he wasn't the guy. And people thought coming out of South Alabama that this guy was going to be the next Trinidad Chambliss, even though Trinidad Chambliss wasn't a thing yet at that point. They just thought, hey, here's that next guy who has all the tangibles, all the good vibes coming out of the G5 level. Bill Belichick's and Freddie Kitchens are going to find a way to make that guy successful at this level. And it looked for like 10 minutes that, oh my God, this is going to be the case. Because remember, they scored on their opening drive against TCU last year, and then everything fell apart and nothing ever really rebounded from that point. But they were such a young team and a team that had almost no time to gel going into the season that being bowl ineligible, I think was an inevitability for that team. I think it's a little bit different this year. Obviously, they have more time. You look up and down the offensive line for this team, which was not a strong point for them last year.
No, bad.
They got a bunch of dudes, Cole, that are transferring in from big time programs. Like I see a guy here from Maryland, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Oregon. Those guys are in the mix on the offensive line. You got a handful of guys who have been in the program for a little while, the glue guys, and you got 2 or 3 guys who are transferring up from the G5 and the FCS level. But again, I see a lot of guys who were good enough to be recruited to some of the best programs in the Big Ten coming to the ACC. And I think there's a chance that at the very least, they'll be serviceable, especially with a quarterback that's got a little experience under his belt.
Well, they were also not great on the defensive line either. Now, injuries played a big part of it. Diesel injuries, especially up front offensively last year, they were banged up consistently on the offensive line. Though, before we get to like why I think things could be different. And before we get to the schedule, I'll say this. I think Michael Lombardi is to blame a little bit as well. You know, we heard a lot this time last year. You and I did at ACC Media Days and just in general. We heard a lot about the 33rd NFL team. This was going to be the 33rd NFL team, and you got general manager Michael Lombardi, you know, who is operating this program like an NFL team. And, you know, these are, we found out real quickly, we all knew this, that the college programs aren't the NFL. Successful college programs, they require so many different things than the NFL does. Yes, it's still football, but in college, I think Bill's learned that you have to recruit elite talent. You have to retain players through NIL, which is really tough, really, really tough. Ask Dabo, ask others. And you also have to build excitement with fans and recruits. And newsflash, Bill's not the most exciting guy. And it's a roster that, hey, turns over every year compared to when you're in the NFL. Yeah, you have turnover, but
got a handful of guys you got to deal with, not the entire team.
That's what I'm saying, man. So many things went wrong. Do I think there's optimism? You asked a minute ago, would they go 4-8 again? I don't think they'll go 4-8. I think there's some reason to be optimistic if you're a Tar Heel fan, but
we'll go win-loss on their schedule here in a minute.
Okay. Okay. I just don't know. I don't know how optimistic I am. Do I think it's going to be better? Yeah, I think it's going to be better in Chapel Hill. Do I think it's going to be like 4 games better? No, not really. It's still a long ways to go for them.
Here's what I like about the setup that they have with Bobby Petrino. We know Bobby Petrino is a pro-style guy. We know he's an air it out, run a lot of different kind of concepts kind of guy. And the quarterback that they almost brought in to be the starter this year, remember Taron Dickens from Western Carolina, who was just incredible at the FCS level last year? Well, he decommitted and he's back out now. He's
nowhere right now.
In Northern Illinois. On Friday of last week,
I didn't know
he committed to Northern Illinois.
No, I did not see that at all.
They will now start Maryland transfer senior Billy Edwards. Now, he was at Maryland in 2024, where he played pretty good. I mean, he was a top 40 quarterback in passing yards in the country, went to Wisconsin last year, got hurt, missed a majority of the season. So you got to go back 2 years and look through the lens of an injury. But hey, again, he's a senior player who's been around at a couple different places. Again, good enough to be on a Big Ten roster.
That's why I'm laughing.
He's in his third location.
Wake Forest, Maryland, to Wisconsin, to North Carolina. He is using this year a 6th year of eligibility after receiving a medical redshirt. Guy's been everywhere, man.
Yeah.
But you're right. Hey, I guess you could call him experienced now.
He's a Johnny Cash song now. Yeah.
6'3", 228 is your quarterback for North Carolina.
Big kid. Again, like I was saying, Big Ten transfers all over the offensive line. All but 2 of the starting offensive players are juniors or seniors. So, look, just because you're a junior or senior doesn't make you a mature individual, but it makes you more mature than freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
So I think the O-line is going to be good enough to get him some time this year, especially because he's not going to be playing, SEC defenders.
I don't know. I'm reading about Billy Edwards right now for the first time.
Yep.
Again, you said he's a big guy. Will he fit Bill Belichick's offense? How much of Bill Belichick's? I'd like to ask that question next week when we're at ACC Media Day, if we get a chance to talk to any of the Chapel Hill beat writers or reporters or even Freddie. I doubt he'll be there, but if we somehow get a way to talk to anybody, I'd like to know how much of it is. I said Freddie. I meant to say Petrino.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know how much is Petrino's offense. How much does Bill have in terms of their scheme, identity offensively? I don't know. I think I would imagine he lets Petrino kind of run his system. And I'm not saying stay out of it completely, but allow him to do what he needs to do.
They're also going to have to replace Amari and Hampton in the running back room. 1,600 yards on the ground. They're going to have to figure out how to replace cohort of younger guys. Demon June is their number 1 running back this year. Pretty cool name, but not a whole lot of experience back there either. So I think they're going to be relying on the wide receiver room to get the majority of it until this running back room can get up to speed.
Yeah, especially offensively, a lot of new names.
Yeah.
You mentioned the quarterback, but skill position guys, you just don't know a lot of them. You don't know a lot of these guys, and it's going to be a lot of new faces. Did you say one of the biggest portal classes?
No, that was last year. I didn't see how many portal guys.
We'll see, though. I mean, I think they're one of the more difficult teams in the ACC to get a beat on. They went 4-8 last year. That was as bad. People would have thought that North Carolina prior to Bill Belichick 4-8. Okay, it happens, but they weren't. They were better without Bill Belichick than they were last year with him. So let's do the win-loss. You want to do that?
Yeah, I'm going to see here real quick. Where does North Carolina land in the portal classes for the 2026 class?
They brought in a lot.
I'm looking at the top 25 right now. Obviously, LSU number 1.
Yeah.
Scrolling down here, South Carolina had the number 19 portal class this year. They brought in 25 guys who are 3-star or better, 1 5-star, 2 stars. Let's see. North Carolina, come on, raise up.
Down the list?
Down the list. Oof, got to hit the next or load more button if I want to find North Carolina on this list. Here they are. Number 52, okay. 20 commits, none of them 4 stars, none of them 5 stars, 23-star commits out of the portal class this year.
Before we get to the win-loss, a couple of texts on the Joy Law Firm text line. Texter gets in from the 262 and says hoodie is done after this year.
Ooh.
Another texter from the 344 says, speaking of Bill, did y'all see where Sean Payton had some ludicrous idea about hiring him as a head coach just long enough for him to get all the win or get the all-time win record? I did not see that, texter. Texter says, Bobby Petrino has always had good offenses at the college level. I don't expect much from UNC either, but I wouldn't be shocked if they upset a team or two. I would say 7-5, give or take a game or two either way. And I kind of agree with that, texter Diesel. Let's go win-loss.
Yeah, win-loss. They will start in a neutral site in Dublin, taking on TCU.
I'm going to say TCU spoiled them last year, right? Spoiled that game.
Yeah.
48-14.
Without knowing what TCU has coming back.
I'm going to say TCU.
This year. I'm going to say TCU beats them. So 0-1. Bye week. Then they play ETSU 1-1. On the road at Clemson on September 19th.
Yeah, I have them. At that point, I have them losing to TCU, beating ETSU.
Yep.
I have them 1-1. I have them 1-2 after Clemson.
All right. How about then they go, they face Notre Dame at home. Loss. At Pitt.
I go loss.
At Duke without Darian Mensah.
I'll give them that one. I'm
going loss.
So I'll have them at Duke.
You have them 2-4.
2-4, yeah.
I have them at 1-5.
Okay.
Then they play Syracuse. Loss.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Miami.
Loss.
At UConn.
I'll give them a win.
I'll give them a win there. Home versus Louisville.
Jeff Brom will get them. That's a loss.
Loss. At Virginia. Tony Elliott's going to get them. That's a loss.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so right now. If I had to pick today, I'd say Virginia.
Then NC State to close it out.
I'll give them a win there.
I got them at 3-9.
I have them with wins against NC State, Connecticut, Duke,
East TSU.
And ETSU.
You got them at 4 wins. You got them at 4-8 again.
So I just said a few minutes ago that I think they'll be better than 4-8. And then we do win-loss, and I have them at 4-8.
But that's the thing. You can think about conceptually, do I think this is going to be a better-looking football team? Are they going to gel better? Are they going to be better? Yes. I feel like they're going to be a better football team. I just don't know that it's gonna show up in the schedule, because this is a tough schedule. Last year they had an easy schedule. This year they got a tough schedule, and I'm just out of curiosity, where does Phil Steele have them on his toughest schedule rankings?
I mean, they play Notre Dame, Clemson, TCU, Miami. Louisville's a good team. I mean, to your point, he has them at number 13 in schedule difficulty. Number 13 in the country.
Yes.
So it's a tough schedule.
True. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. And again, I think they can win some of those. I think they'll be better, but it's hard to find 6 wins in that. It's hard to find one.
I hadn't looked at their schedule. I retract my 7-5.
I feel the same way. I really do. Diesel, let's go to Clemson and talk to Chapel Fowler of the state newspaper. I'm sure you mentioned this yesterday.
I did.
A weird developing story with a new president that's no longer the new president at Clemson. Also, Chapel Fowler's thoughts on the upcoming ACC Media Days here in just about a week. We'll talk ACC and Clemson with Chapel Fowler next.
and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, a very wild story yesterday, as we have a lot to get into with Chappell Fowler of the state newspaper. We talked to Chappell a couple of weeks ago, but a very wild story regarding Clemson, not specifically football, but I thought Chappell Fowler, Clemson University, had their next president. Can you tell us what went wrong? Why is Clemson now once again looking for another president?
Yeah, good to be on with you, Cole. I thought the same thing. And then yesterday I'm sitting down on a late lunch break to watch some Spain World Cup, and suddenly I see that news break. I think it was the 247 side of Michigan State. Great scoop there that Kevin Guskowitz was staying put at MSU and wasn't coming to Clemson. I joke that he's kind of followed me around because he was the chancellor at UNC when I was finishing up my college career there. So a lot of Guskowitz in my life. But yeah, really just a crazy story. You know, you see coaches back out of deals like this all the time, but it really doesn't, well, not all the time, but occasionally. But it doesn't really happen with high-level academic people. I think the gist of it was he was not leaving Clemson for financial reasons. I think more than anything else, he was really upset and frustrated with kind of the discord and craziness going on at Michigan State, which has just had this crazy leadership churn, something like 7 presidents in 9 years. All sorts of fallout from the Larry Nassar scandal and all sorts of institutional issues and Board of Trustees members fighting and all this stuff. I think the word Guskowitz used was unsustainable whenever he announced he was leaving for Clemson. But they kind of waged an all-out campaign. They gave him a little bit of a raise. It's about what he would have been making at Clemson, though. It's not like it was a huge increase. And I think his words in his letter announcing he was coming back was, me and my wife love this place. But that's not what he was saying a month-ish ago. So really a stunning turn of events. And yeah, now Clemson's going to have to start right over. I know they did a national search. They have other people they can go back to, but I think they were definitely caught off guard by this. I'll say that.
So what does it mean for sort of the minutia on campus, Chappell? Now that, I would imagine some decisions were sort of pending, his arrival on campus and settling in and putting his input into things. Are there specific projects, specific initiatives now that have to be put on hold even longer for a university president to be put in place?
Yeah, I think, the school can function on a day-to-day basis. When Jim Clement stepped down in December, they appointed Bob Jones, who's one of their provosts, to kind of be the interim president, and he's a longtime academic veteran, and, they were fine during the spring semester. I'm sure there's some stuff that's going to have to be pushed back. And, this is not my reporting. I'm going to make sure I credit who it came from. But Larry Williams, the Tiger Illustrator, who you guys know well, reported earlier today that, this was so in motion that Guskowitz's wife was like giving Clemson pointers on, okay, here's how I would like the presidential suite designed at the football stadium. Here's how I would like this done in the presidential house that the Clemson president lives in. Guskowitz was on campus 2 weeks ago for a Board of Trustees meeting. He was wearing an orange tie. I saw him on the live stream. He was talking with people. A lot of stuff like that is now just totally out the window. I think the school itself is going to be fine. They push through plenty of stuff and their new budget and this and that, and they have plenty of leaders that can get them through another semester or whatever it is. But this is not the timeline they were hoping for. They wanted somebody in place by the start of the 26 fall semester. That was Guskowitz's plan, and now again, you just scrap that. So a lot of stuff I'm sure is going to have to be put on hold, but nothing major that's going to totally hamstring them.
If Chappell Fowler had a presidential suite, what would be the go-to snack or dessert for Chappell Fowler's presidential suite? Let's get to the important stuff here, please.
I love that question, and I feel like I need to hear y'all too now. I really like Dots pretzels, I think, would probably be in there. If I'm off the clock, if I'm chilling and watching the game and not working up hard in the press box like I do every Saturday, maybe some Blue Moons up there, and maybe some cold brew coffee if I need to wake up in the morning. And then, I don't know. I love donuts and all those sweets. I probably eat too much. So
yeah,
any type of cookie or grabbable treat, I'd take it.
Talking to Chappell Fowler here of the state newspaper. Chappell, we'll see you face to face here in about a week up in Charlotte for ACC kickoff. Maybe trying to cheat off your homework a little bit, but what are you tracking leading into this first big event of the football calendar year for Clemson and for the league?
Yeah, I think this kind of media circuit, it's just that it's set up in the summer to draw attention, and that doesn't really. What happens at ACC kickoff doesn't determine what happens during the season. But it is a place where people can set a tone, right? And some of that is the tone that you set and what you say. Some of that is also how you're covered, how you're portrayed, where you're placed, like in the preseason ACC media poll. I don't have the results in front of me, but Clemson has been number 1 or number 2 in that thing for, I swear, like 12 years. That's not going to happen this year. I'm really interested to see where they end up, even if they make it in like the top half of the ACC standings in this preseason media poll. And, last year was such a celebration, rightfully so, of everything they had coming back and building on a CFP appearance. And then, you fall on your face, you start 1-3, 3-5, and things are just not the same. So, they've slowly been losing like a benefit of the doubt, I think, as their last title game appearance, their last championship gets farther and farther away from them. And they kind of got that back last off season, which was very much a Clemson love fest. But, this is a team that doesn't need any extra fuel to the fire. Like, they've got it. Like, there's plenty of chips on the shoulder. There's plenty of people that are doubting Clemson. You don't need to, make up, oh, this person said this about you. People are saying it now. So I think it'll be a chance for them to kind of flex that underdog mentality, which is something they can do, for the first time in a long time. And that you can view that as a positive or a negative. But this is not going to be the Clemson love fest that was last year up in the Hilton Charlotte Uptown.
Chappell, I talked to Will Vandervoort of the Clemson Insider about this last week. Wanted to get your thoughts on it as well. There are 5, I believe I've counted right. There are 5 teams that are not bringing a quarterback with them to Charlotte. Clemson is one of those 5 teams, as they have Sandy Brown, Will Houdt, and Olsen Pat Henry. Do you think fans and us media sometimes read too much into that? Will and I made a pretty big deal of it as to why they were not bringing a quarterback and Christopher Vizina next week to ACC kickoff. Do you think that is a big deal, or maybe we are making it too much of a big deal?
I think it's not a huge deal, but it is notable. Clemson does have a history of doing that. I remember there was a year that they didn't bring Trevor Lawrence, and it was this whole thing. And the offensive lineman that came, I think it was John Simpson, wore like a blonde wig to kind of mess around and poke fun at the fact that Trevor wasn't there. And we all know that Dabo kind of marches to the beat of his own drum and decides who he wants to send and won't hear anything else about it and stands by that. I think a lot of it was probably just his call. But it does say a lot. You look at the list of the teams that aren't bringing one. I don't have it in front of me. Maybe you could refresh me with some of them. But it's teams in the same spot with uncertain.
Georgia Tech's one of them. Yeah.
There you go. Teams that, if you're going to showcase a guy at that event, you're going to be pretty damn sure he's your starter, right? And that doesn't mean you have to be. It doesn't mean like you're 50% sure if you don't bring one, but it doesn't mean you're 100 either. So Clemson's probably somewhere in that range. I see very few worlds where Vizina doesn't trot out in week 1 against LSU. But I think just the fact they're not sending him and showcasing him on that level just yet is a sign of, hey, he has to earn it in fall camp against Tate Reynolds. And he's not just being crowned the starter right away, although I do think he will end up being the starter at the start of the year. But yeah, I think it's notable. It's not the biggest deal of all time. It's not DEFCON 5, but it's like a DEFCON 1.
Chappell, barring injury here, to stay on this topic of quarterbacks in Clemson, barring injury, would you take the over or under on 1.5 quarterbacks getting significant starts for Clemson this year? I mean, do you think Christopher Vizina, if he is the starter for week 1 at LSU, can hold on to the job for the entire season?
I think he can. I think it'll be close. I don't bet. I would probably take the under on that hypothetical you proposed. I think I think Dabo's history is just to not rush guys. I mean, everyone wanted him to play Trevor Lawrence in week 1, and that didn't happen. He didn't fully take over until I think
A&M
week 4 or 5 of that freshman season. And even like 4 years ago, my first season on the beat, Cade Klubnik was that scrappy true freshman. Everybody was hot on. He looked good against Georgia Tech. But DJU held on to that job basically the entire season up until the ACC title game. I think there is like a learning curve for any freshman, unless you're like really, really special. The game speed, all the playbook stuff, like it takes a while to understand that. So in my mind, Vizina holds on to that job for most of the season, if not all the season, unless it's like disastrously bad. And at that point, like there's no excuses. And the kid's been on campus for 4 years, and if it's been a month and a half, and he just doesn't have it. Like, you got to pull the plug. But he has been on campus for 4 years working in the other direction. Like, you're not going to pull the plug on someone who's spent that much time preparing. He's going to have a bit of a long leash. I think Dabo gives his quarterbacks pretty long leashes already. But I think Vizina will definitely have one, because this is his first like true season-long starting experience coming up in 26. And they obviously believe in him, and I don't think they're going to say, oh, okay, you weren't great in your first 2 games, we're going to give up on you now.
Chappell, outside of Clemson, obviously with you being on their beat, you have the Clemson interest in mind next week when you head to Charlotte for ACC kickoff. Outside of Clemson, though, what else catches your attention as the big storyline? Last year it was Bill Belichick in North Carolina, his first season. This year, is it James Franklin and Virginia Tech, or is it something else in your mind?
Yeah, let's hope our fellow media brethren aren't running around like they've never been in an event before covering Belichick and, taking videos of him as he comes out of the bathroom and everything. Let's maybe tamp down that a little bit. There's not going to be as much attention around them this year. I'll tell you that. That's what 4-8 does to you. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ones. James Franklin is a good one. That is such an interesting hire. I really could see that working out for Virginia Tech. Probably, it's kind of been settled at this point, so it's not as big of a deal. But I was reminded of this. I wrote a story about Dan Radakovich earlier this week as he's back in South Carolina. And I was just thinking about Miami, and remember that whole, like Darian Mensah, Duke, Miami suing thing. It was happening right around the same time as Luke Farrelly and Clemson and Cal. So not that it got swept under the rug, but maybe it didn't get as much play around here just because there was another equally crazy national story going on. But Miami basically like poached Duke's quarterback after he said he was coming back. And they also got his best receiver, Cooper Barcady, who was really good against Clemson last year. So, I mean, that's a really interesting program right there. They've had 3 high-level transfer quarterbacks in 3 years at Miami, Ward and Beck, and now Mensah. Can they keep it going after appearing in the title game? Is SMU and Kevin Jennings, what's the buzz around them? He was great against Clemson last year. Is Virginia Tech going to elevate? Stuff like that. I think there's a really interesting group of kind of high-level teams. And the fact that Clemson is not one of those teams, I think is just as interesting, if not more.
Chappell, take us inside of the Allen Reeves football complex right now. I mean, these guys are not going to get started on actual practice until August. So we got about a month to go. What's it like inside the building right now? Are players just, shuffling in and out for individual group workouts? Are they team building? Are coaches in the building kind of starting to scheme anything at this point? What's it like inside there on a day-to-day?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is all their summer enrollees are on campus now. I think earlier today they were doing some of their promotional images and some of the shots you see on the video board. I saw TJ Moore in a Spider-Man mask, like striking poses and everything. So I'm sure the kids are having fun with that. But yeah, kind of ramping up to that. Dabo is usually pretty forthcoming with the schedule and everything. So I'm sure when we talk to him next week, we'll get a better idea. But, they have those legendary, or maybe infamous, all-in meetings that last forever, and our Dabo's big program vision for the season, and all the coaches are in there, and it's hours and hours and day after day. The coaches get a lot of meeting time in before they start out practice with the players. But yeah, I think fall camp will start not a lot later, but a little bit later, just because you got to remember the schedule shifted. Like Clemson isn't playing in week 0, obviously, but week 1 is like September 5th this year. Last year it was August 30th. So everything kind of shifts back a little bit. But yeah, they're about to get into it. I'm excited to see some pads and see some people hitting each other on the field instead of just talking about it.
Chappell, another question that's obviously not based on fact, but let's put you in a scenario where you get to choose. I'm fascinated to hear your reasoning because of your selections here. Next week, when you go to Charlotte for ACC kickoff, you are going to be given the opportunity, hypothetical, allegedly. We're just using all those words because it's not really going to happen. You're going to be given the opportunity to have lunch one day with 3 ACC head coaches. You only get to pick 3. Obviously, you can choose from any of them. Norvell, Cristobal, Dave Doran, Pritchard at Stanford, Tony Elliott, Bill O'Brien, Dabo, Brent Key, Jeff Brom, Fran Brown, James Franklin. Or do you go Manny Diaz, Belichick, Brett Lashley, Jake Dickert? You only get 3 to have lunch with next week at ACC kickoff. Who are the 3 and why?
Spin a lot around time around Dabo, I guess, so I'll keep him off this one. Let's see. I don't know. I think Doran is a really fascinating guy who is a really good hang, but he's very guarded when it comes to the media. So maybe I could try to crack that nut. I think Franklin's interesting. Cristobal's interesting. I'll go Rhett Lashley at SMU. I think he's a really smart, young, underrated coach. I mean, they were awesome last year. They were almost in the ACC title game. They could have had back-to-back CFP appearances instead of Miami sneaking in there. So I'll go Doran. I'll go Lashley. And I got to put Fran Brown in there. I mean, just he's so candid. He's so funny. He's so charismatic. People love playing for him. Hell of a recruiter. Georgia guy, knows the Southeast. I feel like you couldn't go wrong picking him, and he'd have some amazing stories to tell. But, yeah, I'd probably go those three. But, I mean, shoot, we got, 17 teams in this league, so there's a lot to choose from. Can't go Marcus Freeman, though, because they're not
Ooh, shots fired. You're right on that. It's true.
Chapel, who will be the best from the coaching ranks, best dressed this year? Will it be Brent Key or the field? Because that dude always finds a way to tailor that suit the night before the event, and it always looks impeccable every time, and it's always a fun sort of Georgia Techie type pattern on his suit.
That's a good observation. Now that I remember talking to Key some last year, I agree. Like, I'm a big fan of the really simple, like, khakis, belt, dress shirt tucked in with like a blazer but no tie. I think that's like a good, classy, like semi-casual, semi-formal look. I don't know. I kind of want to take him now because I remember seeing this nice like gingham Yellow Jackets color on the blazer and everything, and it was crisp. It was pretty sharp. Diaz does a good job with the hair though. It's always impeccably slicked. So I maybe give him some dark horse status there to maybe come out on top.
Chapel, as we let you go, you mentioned Fran Brown. I love Fran Brown as well. A little trivia as we let Chapel Fowler go here on the show today. Where did Fran Brown, without cheating, where did Fran Brown play college football at?
Oh, Western Carolina, right?
Bam. Nothing can get past. Okay, one more. You ready? Who was his coach, his linebackers coach that recruited him to Western Carolina?
Oh, gosh. Jeff Collins?
Matt Rule.
Matt Rule.
I
know there's all sorts of Temple connections with those guys. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
How about that, man? That staff at Western, if you go look, it was actually pretty stacked from the time when Matt Rule and a few others were there. Yeah. Chapel, you're the best. As always, we appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys. This is really fun. I'll see you up there.
See you, Chapel.
Chapel Fowler, the state newspaper. Who would be your three coaches from the ACC you'd sit with if you got to choose at lunchtime? You only get – actually, you know what? I'm going to make it a little easier for you. You only get two. You only get two to sit with.
Only get two.
Yep. You only get two ACC coaches. Is Dabo one of the two?
Not really.
He's not one of my two
Dabo would
either.
make sure that I put the white linen napkin in my lap and made sure I sat up straight. And
I wouldn't choose Dabo either, by the way. I wouldn't choose the list of coaches real quick.
He's right. Jeff Brom is
and
a little
I like
intense.
Jeff Brom. You've got to have Fran. I love Fran Brown.
I think, honestly, it's probably like Pat Narduzzi and James Franklin. I want to sit down with James Franklin because I think he's one of the most genuine coaches, and he's gotten such a bad rap from well, let's call it spoiled Penn State fans.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that's a good two. I would go. My two would be James Franklin and Fran Brown. I just really like those two.
I was thinking, I was like, Dino Babers is not still there anymore.
No, he's not.
It would have been Dino Babers, but Fran Brown is a real good choice too.
Dino.
Real good choice.
How about Dino?
Yeah.
And then you could go out west if you wanted to Cal or Stanford and go with Pritchard. No. We'll keep it.
It's not going to be Norvell. It's not going to be Diaz.
No.
Certainly not going to be Bill Belichick. You're not going to get anything out of him.
No.
So there you go.
I like it.
Not the most personality in the ACC, but those that have personality have a lot of it. Yeah. When we come back, Cole, speaking a lot of it, we're going to kind of shoot you with a fire hose of sports happenings today. Our Daily Wires coming up next.
Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Rapid fire sports news here, Cole. A lot to get to. We call them our daily wires, the buzz around the sports world. Even with full Balogun back playing for the U.S., they absolutely crashed out at the World Cup last night. Round of 16, fell 4-1 at the hands of Belgium. Charles Ketelaar scored twice for the Belgians. Hans Vanaken took advantage of an ugly mistake from Matt Fries to finish the U.S. off. Romelu Lukaku blasted one in from close range to seal the embarrassing loss for the U.S. Just an ugly performance. Just
looked outmatched.
Our studs, our stars were not up to snuff against that Belgian team.
Yeah, it's tough.
After winning the first two against the Mets, the Braves dropped the second two, losing last night 7-6. The teams were tied 5-5 going into the 10th. Rookie Braves reliever Owen Murphy hit a Mets batter in an 0-2 count with 2 outs, which set up a Luis Torrens 2-run RBI to left. Michael Harris answered with an RBI double to make it a 1-run game in the bottom of the 10th, but ultimately the Braves couldn't plate another, and that was all she wrote. The lead in the division is still 3 games over Philly.
Scored way too many runs the last couple of days to go 0-2. That's pathetic.
Well, they're not really getting a whole lot of middle inning production, and that's the problem for the Braves. In his 9th game back, Diamondbacks left fielder Max Kepler hit his first home run since his 80-game suspension was lifted. A 94-mile-an-hour fastball off the Padres starter Walker Buehler to right field. He was suspended, Cole, if you remember, 80 games for violating Major League Baseball's PED policy.
Yeah, I do remember that.
The Department of Justice announced yesterday that former Kentucky basketball player Kerr Kriisa has been arrested and indicted on a $2.2 million fraud scheme. Kriisa, 6'3" guard from Estonia, who played at Kentucky, Arizona, West Virginia, and Cincinnati over 6 seasons. He allegedly, per the DOJ's release, carried out a scheme to obtain nearly $2 million from victims using false representations, fabricated identities, and deceptive communications.
You can't do that. Can't do
that. Frowned upon in this country.
Yeah.
Cleveland Cavaliers star Donovan Mitchell has agreed to a new 4-year, $273 million max contract extension that includes a player option for 2030 and 31. Let's see here. CAA's co-head of basketball, Austin Brown, was the one who reported that one.
And that's a lot of money. Donovan Mitchell's really good. I just wonder what that does to Cleveland with LeBron watch going on. Like,
he said he'd take a minimum contract.
He said he would, and that surprises me. It really does. Donovan Mitchell's a good player. I think he deserves it. It's crazy to hear names like Donovan Mitchell and getting a max contract. No disrespect, but that's a lot of money.
Cole, I'm trying to look up the result here in real time to find out, but if she won the match or not. 22-year-old tennis star Coco Gauff advanced to the semifinals at Wimbledon, a match that happened just a little bit earlier today, making her the youngest player to reach the semis of all 4 Grand Slams since Maria Sharapova did it in 2007 at 20 years old. In her previous 6 appearances at Wimbledon, she had never gotten past the 4th round.
Do we have any Tolos that are watching Wimbledon consistently? I
didn't even know.
I would find it very surprising, I guess, if we do have even one out there that says, yeah, I love watching Wimbledon. I can't get into it.
I'm going to try and find the matches right now to find out. Women's singles.
Please do. I've been begging to know.
She won. She did win.
Thank God.
So she lost 6-4, and then she came back and won the second 2 sets 6-3.
I was dying to know. Yeah. Thank the Lord.
Hey, she's a good player, right?
Good player.
Celebrate greatness when you have it.
True.
Amir Khan, you might not know that name, Cole, off the top of your head, but he went by the nickname Aura. He was the viral student manager from the 2025 McNeese State basketball team. Well, he has announced that he has entered the transfer portal and he will join Will Wade at LSU.
How about that?
Yeah, he got NIL deals, big time NIL deals for his walkouts. Crazy.
We're in the wrong business.
I know. A former DraftKings Sportsbook employee faces felony charges after related to a betting scheme involving a Fresno State men's player who allegedly manipulated his performance in a 2025 game. Samuel Silverman was arrested on May 5th in Las Vegas and charged with the commission of a fraudulent act in a gaming establishment and conspiracy to cheat at a gambling game. He faces 1 to 5 years in prison if
Just the
convicted.
norm. Just the norm nowadays.
Yep. 2 more here for you in case you missed it. Chris Gotterup, who's been on a tear for the last 12 months, he made up a 5-shot deficit Sunday to card a 9 under 62 and win the John Deere Classic. And finally, former Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Nealon was posthumously diagnosed with stage 1 CTE. He died by suicide in November of 2025 at the age of 24. Boston University's CTE Center made the diagnosis after Nealon's family donated his brain for research. There are 4 stages of CTE, with stage 4 showing the most damage. So
That's awful.
It was the lowest stage of CTE, but it's still possibly contributed to his death.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about ACC Media Days, Diesel. Let's break down. Let's do a little prediction, just getting the feel of what you think, I think is going to happen in the ACC this season. What's the top 3 look like when it's all said and done? What happens next week, and what does this ACC Media Day have in store that changes our mind on those top 3 order of finish? We'll talk about it next.
on the Fan Upstate.
Well, in 2025, we know what happened in the ACC, Diesel. We saw what happened in the ACC championship game. But now we transition to 2026. One thing that I really love looking at is the preseason media predictions for the conference and then what actually happens on the football field. For example, do you want to guess, Diesel, who was picked by the media to be number one in the ACC last year?
I would be willing to bet the Clemson Tigers. A lot of hype coming into the year.
Yes. Clemson was picked first to win the ACC by the media in 2025. Miami was picked second. SMU was picked to finish third. Georgia Tech 4, Louisville 5. How did it actually pan out? Virginia went 7-1. Diesel, do you know where Virginia was picked by the media preseason last year to finish in the ACC? Where was Virginia picked to finish?
Near the bottom, I would assume.
14.
Oh.
14. They go 11-3 last year under Tony Elliott, right?
Yeah.
The former Clemson offensive coordinator. So the media, while we sometimes are right, we also sometimes are wrong. The media was dead wrong last year. By the way, Big 12 Media Day is happening this week. They just started today, in fact.
Didn't mention this in the Daily Wires, Cole. I must have just skipped right past it. The Big 12 just announced that they are sponsored by Monster Energy drink now. So now it's going to be Monster Energy Big 12 football.
Ooh,
there will be logos on the field. There will be patches on the jersey.
Monster, baby.
Monster. Monster.
Ramping up the energy.
How long would it take in the Bible Belt South for somebody to email the league office if the ACC was sponsored by Monster to email or call in and say, hey, I don't like that devil symbol on the field. I don't like them devil hooks on the jerseys.
Yeah, I don't know. Nowadays, people know, hey, you got to have money. You got to have money. So these preseason predictions are always very interesting. Again, Clemson, Miami, SMU. That was how the media predicted the order of finish to go last year in the ACC. By the way, Tolos, would love to hear from you. If you just tuned into the show, we're talking ACC football. We're about a week away, Diesel, from ACC kickoff, ACC Media Days up in Charlotte. That's what we're previewing. If you want to get your predictions in on who wins the ACC, you can do so at 844-326-3663. The Toy Law Firm text line is open. So, for example, Virginia's predicted to finish 14th. They finished number 1. Virginia went 11-3 in Tony Elliott's fifth season. Excuse me. In Tony Elliott's fifth season, Diesel. At Virginia, they went 7-1 in the ACC. This year, Virginia has the 68th toughest schedule going into 2026. So a very good likelihood that Virginia's maybe a team that we're not talking enough about in the ACC. Last year, Duke finished as the ACC champion at 6-2 in the ACC, 9-5 overall. Miami, 6-2 in the ACC, was 13-3 overall. Georgia Tech was 6-2, 9-4 overall, and SMU finished 5th. So the media last year didn't really get anything right. Miami didn't finish 2nd. SMU didn't finish 3rd. Georgia Tech did finish 4th. They got that right. Louisville didn't finish 5th. They finished 7th. I don't know if the media will be that off again this year, but let me ask you this. Let's start at the top and work our way down. Let's start at the very top. If you had to forecast for the ACC, and again, Tolos will be live at ACC kickoff next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If Diesel and Tolos had to forecast who you think will be the best of the best in the ACC, you'd say who in 2026?
Miami. I think it's Miami.
Not surprised you said that.
No, I mean, Darian Mensah coming in. You got all the intangibles there. You got a program that's used to bringing in a bunch of transfers, making stars out of them, and getting the absolute best out of them. I would say Miami, on paper,
is
the most talented and
the ACC.
ready to take a step ACC team. But, I mean, it's the ACC. Weird things happen. Teams struggle to win games that they shouldn't struggle to win.
No, they do. I agree with you in the sense of Miami being the most talented team on paper. There's no doubt about that. They went 13-3 last year. You said it. They bring in Darian Mensah in Mario Cristobal's 5th season at Miami. Yep. They also added a pretty good portal class, Diesel, outside of the quarterback position. We talk about last year. Clemson was projected to finish number 1. Didn't happen. They finished. Where did they finish? I'm looking now. Middle of the pack. There you go. Middle of the pack for Clemson last year. I believe I have that right. This coming season, do you believe the media has just as good of a chance to be wrong when it comes to Miami? Miami, Diesel, joined the ACC in 2004. And I don't know if you know this or not, and maybe Tolos, maybe if you're a Miami fan out there, you do. They have never won an ACC title since joining the conference in 2004.
Yeah.
Even last year's national title game, Diesel, due to that bizarre ACC tiebreaker, remember? Miami wasn't even in the ACC title game last year. So they didn't even make the ACC championship, but played in the national championship. Mario Cristobal went 12-13 in his first 2 seasons with Miami. But they went 9-0 last year and had a couple of bad games. But nonetheless, I agree with you in the sense that they are the most talented on paper. They have the 61st most difficult schedule in 2026.
Manageable.
Very manageable. They also return 5 starters offensively, 8 defensively. They returned 8 starters off of a very good defense from last year.
How? It feels like half that defense got drafted.
Yeah. It does. So you and I both, and Tolos, let us know if you agree, disagree. You and I both are on the same sheet of music that Miami should win the ACC. Phil still would also agree with you, by the way. He has Miami finishing number 1 in the ACC.
I mean, looking up and down this schedule, they're not going to potentially face a loss until week 5 against Clemson.
Potentially.
At Stanford, Florida A&M, at Wake Forest, Central Michigan. They'll be 4-0 coming into Clemson.
No doubt.
I mean,
no doubt.
I would give them a puncher's chance, a really good puncher's chance to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Bye week. Then it's Florida State, who are still in shambles.
Still win that game.
Pitt at home. Both of those games at home, by the way. At North Carolina, at Notre Dame. So it's going to be another 5 weeks until they face a real opponent in Notre Dame, November 7th on the road. Then they close out with Duke, Virginia Tech, Boston. I mean, I'm seeing very easily 10-2 right there.
You're saying
probably
at worst 2 losses.
At worst 10-2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you're right on that. We gave Miami a pretty hard time last year when they had a couple of hiccups, a couple of trip ups, right? And last year they were really good at times. They didn't take care of business to get them into the ACC title game, but I think on paper you're right. Miami is the best team in the ACC. What in your mind, though, Diesel, when you look at this ACC, this Atlantic Coast Conference, what's the gap between one and everybody else? Phil Steele has SMU predicted to finish number 2. SMU's been very good under Rhett Lashley. We know what they can do. We've seen them, we've seen them in ACC championships. They went 9-4 a season ago, went 6-2 in the ACC. And, for all the talk about Miami and for all the talk about James Franklin and Virginia Tech, maybe Rhett Lashley, Diesel, is sitting back there thinking, I've got this quarterback coming back by the name of Kevin Jennings.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Pretty good quarterback, right?
Yep.
And a pretty good skill position. I saw him last year when they came to Clemson to beat Clemson. I don't know that SMU's being talked about near enough. Also a team, Diesel, with a very manageable schedule. How far is that gap between Miami and SMU in your mind?
I think it's, until we see it, we don't know, but I think it's closing. SMU were certainly that team as they made their way out of the American Conference into the ACC. They had to go through the strides and the growing pains of going from an elite G5 program to an ACC program. And those are the types of seasons that expose some of your issues. And it also helps coaches get an idea of what we need to scheme for. I think this SMU team is going to be pretty good again
I think
year.
they are, yeah.
Senior quarterback, senior running back, senior wide receivers. I think they're going to be really, really tough to beat.
2025, let's see, they lost 4 games, took Miami to overtime last year. I would say the gap, though, between Miami and SMU, Diesel, does not come down to head coach, does not come down to quarterback play, because I think both programs have a good quarterback. I like Darian Mensah, who's now at Miami. I don't think it comes down to quarterback play because I like Kevin Jennings as well. I think it comes down to which one of these teams are built to make a run toward a national championship because of what? Their interior defensive line and offensive line. We saw Miami last year. One of the big reasons they played for a national championship was not because of quarterback, was not because of head coach, was because of one thing. They had the lineman, Diesel, to go make a run, and they did. Miami established the offensive line up front, the defensive line up front last year, and they were better than most teams up front. So I like both quarterbacks. I like both head coaches. I mean, I don't really love Darian Mensah like way more than Kevin Jennings. I think they're both pretty good quarterbacks. Where I think this conversation becomes interesting, though, Diesel, when you look at the ACC, is where Phil Steele has Clemson. Clemson, SMU, Louisville. He has it 2, which I think is a cop-out. You can't put 3 teams at 2. You pick who you think is going to finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clemson, Louisville, Pitt are his next 3. So Phil Steele has Miami 1, SMU 2, Clemson 2, Louisville 2, and Pitt 5. Clemson, SMU, and Louisville tied for 2 there. SMU, I believe, because of the quarterback situations, in a better spot coming into the season than Clemson. Where do you see Clemson and Louisville, though, when it comes to how the ACC could forecast, how the ACC could finish? Because Clemson, obviously, quarterback-wise, breaking in a new guy who's, I say new, to a full-time starting role, new, and Christopher Vizina.
I think Clemson starts the season obviously below SMU on this poll, but they finish higher than them.
Ooh.
I think they'll finish higher than SMU. And, Clemson's schedule, it also depends on how they look against LSU, because if they get embarrassed against LSU, voters will hold that against them. Pollsters will hold that against them for the entire season. But Clemson, after that, Cole, will have the ability to put up gaudy numbers against Georgia Southern, put up gaudy number against North Carolina, put up a gaudy number on the road at Cal, and can kind of mask some of the residue after that game. Then they have Miami coming to town.
Yeah.
And if they've figured something out there by week number 5 and beat Miami, I think a lot of people forget about that LSU lost. Even if it's 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns on the road, I think this Clemson team finishes in the polls and in the conference higher than SMU.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And why I think this is so fun is because last year, 2025, proved just that we think we know, but especially in this modern era of college football, we really don't know. It's hard to predict, which makes it fun. If it was easy to predict, it wouldn't be a lot of fun.
Can we get, maybe, I don't know if he'll be there or not. We need to talk to Damon Evans, the athletic director at SMU, and be like, come on, man, it's time to put a couple thousand more seats around your 30,000 seat stadium. You have to build an actual environment in Dallas.
Well, let me tell you this.
A football hungry place. I know SMU's not on the top of the totem pole there, but come on, you're in the ACC now. You can't be playing in a 33,000 seat stadium.
It is small. When I went, I'll tell you this, my only SMU story, when I lived in Dallas, they were bad. They were still bad then, right? They had not, I think what is this, Rhett's 3rd year, 4th year? This is his fifth year.
Yeah.
Good grief. So when I was in Dallas, and it must have been Rhett's 1st year or 2nd year, they were not good yet. They were not good yet, Diesel. And I drove by SMU Stadium one day.
Was it on game day?
The game was going on. Okay. And I didn't even know the game was going on. That's how bad there was no traffic.
Well,
there were it was bad.
Last year wouldn't have been the case because they claim here, I don't know where they're getting this number, but they were 5% over capacity last year.
Well, that's not hard.
I get that. I get that. It's it's a good FC. It's a really good FCS stadium,
Yeah.
a really good G5
is.
stadium to have. I don't know what 5% of 32,000 is, but it's call it 35,000 people there. That's fine if you're a G5 team, but you're in the ACC now.
Look, I think SMU, when you look at this ACC and how this shakes out top 3, I think on paper it is hard to argue against Miami finishing 1. But I think after Miami is where this thing gets fun, because you could have SMU finishing 2. You could have Louisville finishing 2.
Uh-huh.
But I also think there's a pretty big drop-off in the ACC as well. Who's to say Virginia couldn't finish number 2 in the ACC? They had a really good year last year. I don't know that the Hokies will make that leap in year 1 under James Franklin, but I just think the bottom of the ACC is bad. I don't think that. I know that because I saw them play last year. Georgia Tech's going to be a lot worse, and I love Brent Key, but they're not going to be the same team without Haynes King and that group they had last year.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at this conference, this forecast in 2026, I see Miami at the top, see a couple of teams right on their bubble, right on their tail, and then I see a huge drop to NC State, to Georgia Tech, to Florida State, to Duke, North Carolina, Wake, Cal. I think there's a big drop-off there, Diesel.
How much you want to bet, Cole, when they were starting to go through all the boxes and they're taking the crates out of the garage of all the banners that they put up last year for ACC kickoff?
Oh, I have one less, by the way.
They saw that conference of quarterbacks banner and they said, no, not this year. Not this year. We don't have the big names this year that we had in years past. Let's not advertise that.
I mean,
this year.
Jeff Brom's, look, I like Jeff Brom a lot quarterback-wise. He's going to have a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback developer.
Yeah.
But you've got Kevin Jennings and Darian Mensah are the two guys.
And that's it.
And like I said,
somebody's going to have to emerge.
There's 5 teams that aren't bringing a quarterback to ACC Media Day. 5. I mean, and you know who else is one of those? North Carolina's not bringing their quarterback. We just talked about him. They're not bringing him to ACC Media Day. Let's go to the phone lines. Tom in Somerville wants to weigh in on the ACC conversation. What's a Gamecock have to say about the ACC, Tom?
Well, guys, so obviously soccer game was over pretty quick last night.
Yeah.
So I actually started doing a little bit of some research last night, and I did not realize this. And I think y'all hit the nail on the head. I think there's only about 4, maybe 5 teams in the ACC that can win the conference. And obviously Miami's the favorite, rightfully so. But I did not realize Virginia has 54 seniors on their team this year.
Whoa. And they went, 11-4 last year, something like that?
Something like that. So they're going to have an older team. But I'm telling you, the team in the ACC that nobody is talking about enough yet is Cal. They have brand new coaching staff, defensive-minded, and they have one of the most electric quarterbacks in the conference that it does not get enough love. And
Mendoza?
No, JKS.
No, I'm playing with you. I know Fernando Mendoza is the only quarterback I can remember from Cal.
Well, his brother now is at Georgia Tech.
That's right.
Yeah, Fernando's little brother.
But JKS is electric, and you look at Cal's schedule. Obviously, they have Clemson at home. That's not going to be easy. And I had a Clemson buddy tell me the other day he felt really good about Clemson, and I asked him why, and he said, well, wide receiver's going to be good. I said, well, you still don't have a proven quarterback. You had a proven quarterback last year, and we saw how proven he really was. I think Clemson's got one of the deeper rosters in the league right there with Miami. But like we've seen a lot of misorganization out of Clemson the last couple of years. It just didn't look right. So I don't know what Clemson's going to look like.
Well, I think, Tom, I've said this several times this offseason. Clemson went 7-6 last year. I think on paper, Diesel and I have said Miami's good on paper, but I think on paper last year Clemson obviously was projected to be a lot better than 7-6. I think they were better last year on paper than they were this year. But what's weird about that is I think even though they're not as good on paper, I think they have a better record than 7-6 this year. And that's what makes it tough.
And Clemson's ACC games outside of the game at Cal are at home that are difficult. I mean, I think Virginia Tech could be somewhat
they'll win
tricky,
that one,
depending on how things go. But
they get Miami at home.
Miami's at home. They don't have to play SMU. They don't have to play Louisville. The schedule sets up for Clemson a lot better this year.
Tom, do you think that Virginia Tech could come close to flipping their 3-9 to 9-3? Because I'm looking up and down their schedule here. VMI, Old Dominion, at Maryland, at Boston College, Pitt, at Cal, Georgia Tech, at Clemson, at SMU, Stanford, Miami, Virginia. I think they could come close to flipping it.
I do think they can come close. I mean, they'll start, 4-0, something like that. But the back half of that schedule is kind of tricky because the thing with the ACC that always gets overlooked is there's always that team like Virginia last year that kind of comes out of nowhere. You know, you're going to have your upset that never makes sense because in the ACC that happens just about every week. Gamblers know that. So, you know, you look at the back half of Virginia Tech's schedule. There's some trap games on that schedule.
And the hard part is they have their 3 toughest opponents all on the road, but
all of them are on the
at
road.
Clemson bye week, at SMU, Stanford at home, and then it's at Miami. That's rough.
Wouldn't that be a coaching job though to flip it from 3-9 to 9-3? It'd be a pretty good coaching job. Tom, thanks for the call as always.
Go Gamecocks.
There you go.
That would
Tom.
be impressive. 3-9 to 9-3.
How long do you think it's been since Tom's had his Ford in the shop?
That's the seatbelt.
Yeah, I know. I can just tell it's a Ford based on the
No. Fords get a bad rap. I do love Tom's sounders though with his seatbelts.
Could you wait 30 more seconds to get out of the car?
They make a lot of noise when you turn them on. They have a little welcome thing. You know,
I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah.
Cole, when we come back yesterday, I had a great opportunity to sit down with Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints.com. We talked all the things that were going on in NBA free agency. Also, I mean, obviously there have been a little bit of updated stories in the last 24 hours, but we had a lot of talk about Brad Stevens and the what is he doing question marks around his decision-making to send Jaylen Brown to the 76ers, LeBron's destination, what LeBron actually wants out of his next destination, whether or not that can kind of lead us in a direction to prediction. If you missed it, going to play it back for you next with Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints.com.